What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So last week got the rear end in the car. This week I'm going to put the subframe on the car. Let's get to it. Alright, so last week got the rear end all bolted up in the car, and actually our old Convo Pros actually bolted up because they were the mag style lug nuts. So the 5/8 studs actually fit through the hole, and then we just put the washers on there, just made them tight. They're not torqued down or anything, so this is just for rolling purposes. And we also figured out the CalTrack shock issue. I reversed the plates and it seems to fit. I gotta verify that is the correct way to do that, or how CalTrack intended for their products to be placed like that. So we'll go ahead and verify that and make sure everything fits. Put the shocks on later. They don't need to be on right now, just for rolling around. But what we're gonna do today is put the subframe on with the interlock solid bushing mounts. Can't remember where we got the thing. We got these from Rock Auto or something like that. So, and also we're gonna put steering on it. So got a steering shaft. We got our 30 spline to double D shaft, and then our double D to round shaft, because the column that we have, that race column, is a 3/4 inch chromoly tube. So we'll have to drill a hole in one of those and put a lock bolt through it with obviously a nut or red Loctite or something like that to keep it still. Just mediocrely, so let's say, sitting right here. So we come that way, back. It's pretty centered. Do the front hole. That don't line up at all, but I think when I jack the frame up, it will line up. So let's go ahead, check the other side. Okay, so just roughly, the rears are lined up, the fronts are not, but that could be an angle issue because we're higher in the front, lower in the back. So actually this side lines up pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and just jack it up from right where it's at. All right, so that's gonna work much better. Got the top pieces in. Same thing on the bottom, and we are right there. I'll show you. So top piece is in, the hole is right below it, and then same thing with the other side. Kind of hard to see, but you get the idea. So I'm going to attempt to jack the front up and see how it goes, see if it lines up. Wow. This thing hasn't been on the ground in over a year. Oh, and it's so low. Oh man, that's a sight to see. How awesome is that? The car is on its 4 wheels. In the rear end. Wow, that's like, geez, that's probably 2 inches lower than what it was with the stock Leafs that we had. And these aren't even lowering springs. These are the stock height CalTrack springs, so, or Calvert springs. Now, with a 28 10.5, or sorry, I should say 275 60 15, I should fill that wheel well up very nicely. And then we still have plenty. We're gonna have to fix the roll on the fender. Someone did a crappy job on it. But 5.5 inch back spacing, it's gonna fit perfect. It's gonna fill all the space. That's hard to see, but we got about 1 inch between the leaf spring and the tire. Everything else should clear. Might have to clearance a little bit on the stud for the shock for the wheels since we're running 15s. But yeah, this is nice. It's very good. Like I said, it's been about a year or just over a year since this car has been on jack stands. So those crappy Husky jack stands, don't ever buy these. These are junk because this is safety device. I get it, but I mean, come on. What if a car falls on this jack stand? That's probably gonna break. And then we had Pittsburgh, or not Pittsburgh. We had Harbor Freight ones, and they had that recall. So we went ahead and got some Pro Lifts, and the safety on these things, I mean, look at that. You ain't breaking that. So I have 4, 6, 7, 8, I have 10 jack stands. Might be too many. Or what I need to do is buy more cars and put more cars on jack stands. So it needs more projects, like the Camaro. But let's not let them sit for a whole year, because I don't want that. So let's jump to the steering. I'm gonna go grab the column. Let's put the column in. We will figure out these U-joints. Right, got our double D shaft. Plumb bob worked pretty well. Double D shaft, like I said, we have the 30 spline to double D, and then double D to 3/4 inch round. Got to get a lock collar for the column after we trim it. I'm gonna get that seat bolted in. That way I can sit in the car and figure out how the steering wheel needs to sit farther in, farther back. We'll figure it out. We can trim that column shaft as well. So let's go ahead and get that stuff set up. That way we have steering. So we got the wiring out of the car. And what I'm gonna do right now is actually just vacuum up all the mess that's down there, just leaves and dirt and whatever else is from 1978. And actually I'm just gonna clean out all the car, get everything, all the parts out of it. Like I said, bolt the seat down, put the column in, and then we'll work on the steering shaft and everything like that. But yeah, first I'm gonna vacuum it up and then we'll get to it. All right, got the car vacuumed out, cleaned out, no more parts. And I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about the floor pans that we had to replace. So obviously from here, everything that's got this green looking gray seam sealer has been a repair or a patch or a new panel. So this entire section has been new, and on the driver's side it was just that front section and then this little back section right here. The center section was fine. So basically from where the seat bolts up was all good, and then we had a patch here, a patch right there, a patch right there, a patch back there, you know, common 42-year-old car type stuff. So what this is, I made a emergency brake mount from a 4th gen Camaro. I made this mount obviously, but we had a e-brake on there with the cables from a 4th gen because we had the S10 brakes and we had parking brake, so we were going to use that as a parking brake. Now the Strange stuff does not have a parking brake, but what we can use for that, and I think Motion Raceworks just came out with their console parachute mount, so I'm wondering if we could adapt that to run a parachute release mount. So we'll see. If not, we can always put a handbrake there that has a little locking feature, like a hydraulic one. So we'll see, future plans, stuff like that. So column is in, and that is our lightweight column that I polished up. So I found the hardware and put that in. What we got to do now is figure out if we need to cut this or extend it, and then I need to chop this little section of splines off, because if I put the U-joint here, it's just going to hit against the frame. So I'll cut that off. We still have a second set of splines and a nice little recess for our set screw. And if anything, I might just drill a hole through that and put some grade 8 bolt screws, since it is steering, and you don't want to lose your steering down track. So just for another safety reason. So I'm gonna go ahead, I got the seat bolted down, I'm gonna sit in it, I'm gonna kind of feel where it's at, and I'll either pull it out like that, or push it in like that, and I'll go ahead and put some tape on there so it stays, and then we'll go ahead and trim it and put the U-joints and the double D shaft on the car, so we'll have steering. So I went ahead and drilled this existing little cutaway for the set screw, drilled it a little deeper so that way it'll sit in there. Oh, don't throw it around on the ground. It'll sit a little deeper in there, that way this U-joint right here will clear the frame a little bit better. So hopefully it clears. I can always drill it deeper, and I can always either put it on the side or put it on the other side, so either way we'll figure it out. And then I went ahead and drilled this one as well so I can use that for the top. So what I'm gonna do is mock it up, and then the last thing I have to do is drill a hole through the 3/4 inch chromoly, and then go ahead and put a set screw in there temporarily until I get some grade A bolts, and then we'll go ahead and throw it all together. Just gotta trim the last little thing. Oh yeah, that's what you do when you don't have a 1/4 inch bolt anywhere in your garage that's long enough. But steering is done, set screws are in. I'll put them on the bottom just so you don't see them, try to hide them a little bit. So might bite us in the butt later, but yeah, looks good. Came out really good. It's really actually nice and straight. There's not some crazy kink or anything like that. So I ended up just trimming the chromoly tube back 1 inch when this was too long. It was easier to cut this than it is to cut that since it's solid. But I mean, right now we got steering, boys. So came out freaking awesome. We can finally steer the car. So I'm gonna go off to the cage. He's got steering. We don't gotta mess with any of that. Nothing off the checklist. So I wanted to push the car out and clean underneath it, blow it out, get it all clean. And that hasn't happened yet because it's still raining. It's been raining all day here in Florida. So, or at least where I'm at. So what we're gonna do, I just went over and picked up my dad's engine hoist because Harbor Freight didn't have any, and I don't really like theirs anyway. So I picked up that, and yeah, let's put the engine in this thing. So, one side in, but the other side, I don't know if you guys can see that, it does not line up. There's the hole on the mount on the engine, and then obviously the hole behind it is the mount on the frame, and also our oil pan is just ever so slightly hitting. So found the problem, and it's actually the oil pan making contact with the subframe ever so slightly. So hopefully it's not the engine mounts, because these are for small block Chevy mounts. I mean, technically the LS could be considered a small block Chevy. I'm talking about like a Gen 1, Gen 2 small block Chevy. So unfortunately we did not get the engine installed. Obviously it's right behind me, but next week, you know, hopefully we have some more info on oil pans that are going to clear, and maybe some different engine mounts. We're going to see what combination is going to work for our setup. So, you know, would it be a car build if you didn't run into some issues sometimes? I guess not. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for us. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you in the next video.